How you doing, guys? I'm back again with another video. For this video, we're gonna be looking at people who dives in caves. I don't know why you would want that to be one of your hobbies, but hey, people do it. Um, we're gonna look at two stories. I'm guessing the first one is a scuba diver from the picture that I'm seeing, and another one had to do with someone on the rope, and it seemed like someone fell because I mean the dude's laying down face down. But we're gonna jump right into it. Before I start, I did look in the comment section below. I did see the feedback for some people. Some people say, "Hey, my mic was a little too low," or "I was talking a little bit too much during my video." So I am recognizing that. Hey, maybe I need to change some stuff up. So I'm gonna let it play. Get my thoughts somewhere in the middle or something like that. Try not to talk too much. But all right, let's jump into it.
That went horribly wrong. Both of them have one thing in common: how underestimating caving protocols can lead to devastating tragedy. As always, viewer discretion is advised. Paradise Springs, Florida, was known for its beauty, a hidden gem for divers seeking adventure in its crystal clear waters. On September 22, 1996, two friends, Jake Miller and Lisa Carter, arrived at the site, eager to explore the depths. Both were certified open water divers, but had no formal training in cave diving. Still, the lure of the unknown was too tempting to resist. As they geared up, they went through the basics. The plan was discussed thoroughly just before they started their descent. Neither carried a safety guideline, a thin rope that trained cave divers used to find their way back. To them, it seemed unnecessary. They had dived together many times before, trusting their instincts and experience. The initial descent was breathtaking. At 60 feet, the entrance to the cave opened before them. They switched on their flashlights to illuminate their way. Jake led the way, moving cautiously into the narrow passage. Lisa followed closely behind, her heart pounding with both excitement and unease. As they ventured deeper, the passage narrowed. At 148 feet, they had gone farther than intended, but neither voiced concern. They were surrounded by silence, save for the rhythmic sound of their breathing through their regulators. Their lights danced along the limestone walls, revealing ancient formations that had stood untouched for millennia. Then, in an instant, everything changed. Jake, shifting his position, accidentally kicked up a thick layer of silt from the cavern floor. The fine particles billowed upward like smoke, consuming the light, transforming their surroundings into a suffocating void. Within seconds, visibility was reduced to zero. Lisa felt a surge of panic. She reached out, hoping to grasp Jake's arm, but her fingers met only empty water. The cave, once awe-inspiring, had become a prison. She forced herself to stay calm, breathing slow and steady. She knew panic was the greatest threat in an emergency. But Jake wasn't so lucky. Disoriented and blind, he flailed in the darkness, trying to retrace his steps. He turned in one direction, then another, each move only worsening his confusion. His breath quickened, draining his air supply at an alarming rate. His hand brushed against a narrow crevice in the rock, and in his desperation, he tried to squeeze through. But his tank and harness wedged him in place. He couldn't move at all. Panic surged through his body as there was no visibility. He was disoriented and couldn't even comprehend where and how he got stuck. It was pitch dark and he was wedged completely. Meanwhile, Lisa's mind raced. She swept her arms through the silt cloud, searching for any sign of her partner. Then, suddenly, she felt a shift in the water, a disturbance ahead. Something had moved. A collapse? Had the cave ceiling given way? Fear overtook her. If the cave was unstable, they were in grave danger. With her oxygen dwindling and no way to locate Jake, she made a split-second decision. She turned and ascended, kicking hard toward the surface.
Okay, quick thoughts. 100% when she was at the point of the point where he already kicked up the smoke. Like I think it's right here. I'm gonna go back for it, but it's right here when he already kicked up the smoke. She didn't know where she was at. I'm not even gonna lie. Right here at the moment where she did not know where to do what, he could have went up, he could have went down or something like that. From I mean, it's pitch black dark, so she couldn't really see. But at this point, she should have turned around. She should have never went forward because they don't even have any rope. They even like correlate like, hey, I'm supposed to go this way or that way, and it's pitch black dark. Like, nah, she should have went back like ASAP from right here. I mean, she should never been down there in the first place. But She should 100% went back right there. Where did I start at? Right here. I'm sorry. Of
Game
course
of
it's gonna be
Thrones
right
King's Road is now available for both PC and mobile with Google
here.
Play
I gotta figure
Games.
out how to get that off here, man.
She turned and ascended, kicking hard toward the surface. The journey back up felt endless. Every second, she expected to feel the crushing weight of the cave collapsing behind her. Breaking through the surface, she gasped for air and ripped off her mask. She immediately started contacting the emergency services for help. She knew the situation was dire, and Jake was on borrowed time. The clock was ticking, and for her, every minute felt heavy. Meanwhile, back inside, Jake was fighting for his life. His chest was crushed against the cold rock, his shoulders wedged tight in the crevice. He had stopped fighting for a moment, frozen in sheer terror. His breathing was shallow, ragged. The regulator in his mouth felt useless now. His tank was nearly empty. He had to get out. With desperate shaking hands, he fumbled at his harness, fingers numb and clumsy. The metal buckle refused to give at first, his gloves making the task even harder. He pulled again, harder this time. The strap loosened. He detached himself from the harness and tank. Suddenly, he was free. His body floated backward, weightless, but now he was blind in the swirling cloud of silt. No light, no direction. No tank meant no air. He had to make an escape in order to save himself from drowning. The situation he was in, odds were completely against him. He turned, reaching instinctively for a line that wasn't there. His lungs burned. His air was almost gone. He had to get out. Jake pushed off from the rock, kicking hard, trying to ascend. He fumbled for his regulator. His fingers met nothing. His harness, his tank, gone. However, he kept pushing, hoping for some miracle. Rescue divers arrived within an hour, their movements swift and precise. They entered the cave, navigating through the suspended silt, searching for Jake. What they found was not what they expected. The cave had not collapsed. The passage remained intact. They discovered Jake's body lodged in the crevice, but he was no longer stuck. They realized at some point he had managed to free himself, but he had no light, no guideline, just thick, blinding silt swirling around him. Investigators later pieced together what had likely happened. In his panic, he had ditched his harness and tank, wiggling free from the tight space. But in his disorientation, he had made a fatal mistake, attempting a free ascent without air. Without a light, without oxygen, he had tried to swim upward, holding his breath. As he rose, expanding gases in his lungs likely caused an embolism, leading to unconsciousness before he ever reached safety. His lifeless body was found at the 44-foot mark, drifting silently in the gloom. The news spread quickly, and early reports mistakenly blamed a cave collapse for the tragedy. But experts knew better. This was not the first, nor would it be the last. Case of an untrained diver succumbing to the hidden dangers of an underwater labyrinth. Lisa, though devastated, survived. She would later admit she had underestimated the risks. The lack of a guideline, the absence of proper training, it all seemed so obvious in hindsight. Paradise Springs had been their playground, but that day, it became Jake's tomb. This next story is even more terrifying to watch. The main entrance of Cueva Cheve sits at an elevation.
That last one was that's crazy. So my understanding is that he got stuck in between here, try to free himself because obviously he was tight in with his gear and stuff. Let himself go and then try to go back up with no light, no oxygen, pretty much only oxygen he have in his body from breathing out of the tube and try to make it back. That is crazy, bro. That is crazy. Like you gotta have a plan when you do stuff like this, man. Like you gotta have a plan, man. You gotta have a plan. There's no way you could just jump into a cave, whether you're scuba diving or whether you're uh, like caving, which is the next one that we about to get into. Like you gotta have a plan, bro. You just can't just jump in there and just do whatever. And it's oh, I can just call so and so or call whoever the people that does this that rescue people from stuff like this. But bro, you gotta pay attention to detail, man. Like you can't just jump out there and just oh, I'm just gonna go out there and just do this and then the third and expect it to work out. Like shit, like man. I don't even go caving without, well, not caving, but I don't go out hunting or I don't go out camping without at least looking at the area, making sure I got enough food. I got bringing weather gear in case it rains. Never know. Weather is, you know, it changed anytime. It's fucking bipolar down here in Texas, so it could change anytime. I mean, even yesterday it said it wasn't gonna rain, then it was thunderstorming. It's crazy, but it's like make sure I got wet weather gear, cold stuff for when I go to sleep at night, food and stuff like that, water, extra water, food, and extra food, just in case I had to stay out there a little longer than what I expected. Like maybe just the military me, but it's like you got a plan, bro. You just can't just go out there, especially if you going like a 2 man going out to do stuff like that. Nah, you gotta
Fine
plan
to
that out.
watch. The main entrance of Cueva Cheve sits at an elevation of 2,700 meters, hidden within the rugged mountain terrain of northwest Oaxaca, Mexico. Among the deepest caves in the world, it has long been the site of ambitious exploration by American caving expeditions. Every year, a team of highly skilled cavers descends into its depths, pushing the limits of exploration and endurance. In late February, a team of 14 cavers gathered at Llano Cheve, their first objective clear, dived the sump at the cave's furthest known point. Days of meticulous rigging followed, securing the 35 vertical pitches between the entrance and Camp 2, positioned 850 meters below the surface. Rigging in Cueva Cheve was anything but straightforward. To preserve the integrity of the ropes for repeated use, the drops were rigged with rebelets, a system designed to prevent direct contact between the rope and the cave walls. Unlike a single free-hanging rope, this method required cavers to repeatedly disconnect and reconnect their rappel devices while suspended, an intricate and calculated process demanding precision, experience, and absolute focus. On February 25, 1991, a team of 6 made the arduous 7 to 10 hour journey through the cave to establish Camp 2. Over the following days, teams rotated in and out, ferrying supplies deeper into the system. On March 1st, Peter Bosted and Peter Haberland returned to the cave alongside 2 others, James Brown, recovering from a shoulder injury, and Chris Yeager, who had recently been suffering from illness. They entered the cave in staggered pairs, an hour apart, to prevent bottlenecks in the tight passages. Yeager and Haberland made steady progress. By 4:30 p.m., they reached Sac Newsom's well, a series of wet vertical pitches leading deeper into the system. At one point, Yeager dropped his rappel rack, an essential piece of descending gear, forcing him to borrow Haberland's to retrieve it. This minor mishap would later seem like an ominous prelude. By 7:40 p.m., they emerged from the wet passages, transitioning into the dry chambers that signaled the approach to Camp 2. They navigated the flagged junctions, briefly losing their way in the vast, featureless rock corridors, before finally regaining the correct path. The final obstacle before reaching Camp 2 was a 2-pitch descent into the East Gorge, a narrow, winding stream passage. Haberland, leading the way, explained the layout of the drop, a 10-meter slope of loose rock leading to a rebelet, followed by a sheer 23-meter descent. The rebelet was critical. Without it, the rope would drag dangerously against the rock face, quickly wearing through under repeated use. Haberland descended first, maneuvering carefully through the awkward rigging. The rebelet anchor was positioned too far below the natural stance, forcing him to attach a foot ascender to create slack and disconnect himself from the anchor safely. He called up to signal the descent was clear. Minutes later, from below, he heard Yeager call out. A rock came loose, clattering downward. Haberland braced himself, waiting for the expected off-rope signal. Instead, the cave erupted with the unmistakable sound of rushing air, followed by a sickening heavy thud. Silence followed. He called out. No response. A sense of dread set in. He moved cautiously, climbing over the boulder sheltering him, peering into the darkness below. A motionless figure sprawled at the bottom of the drop. Yeager lay face down in a shallow, 3-inch deep pool of water. His right leg twisted, his foot pointing unnaturally forward. His helmet, still strapped on, was pushed back at an odd angle. His arms were outstretched, fingers limp, gloves still intact. His pack, still strapped to his back, pressed him into the ground. Haberland scrambled forward, his breath shallow with panic. He reached Jaeger and carefully tilted his head against the wall to keep his face out of the water. He feared spinal injuries and resisted the urge to move him further. In the suffocating stillness of the cave, he realized with growing horror that Jaeger was unresponsive. He didn't check for a pulse, didn't attempt first aid. Overcome by the raw enormity of the moment, he turned and fled. His mind locked on one singular
Whoa,
thought.
what? So you let your man just stay down there by himself? Whoa, hold up.
Water. He feared spinal injuries and resisted the urge to move him further. In the suffocating stillness of the cave, he realized with growing horror that Jaeger was unresponsive. He didn't check for a pulse, didn't attempt first aid. Overcome by the raw enormity of the moment, he turned and fled. His mind locked on one singular thought: get help. Blowing his whistle frantically, he sprinted through the cave toward Camp 2, covering in 15 minutes what had taken them hours before. Boston and Brown were there, resting after their own grueling journey. The message was clear. A caver was down. Within 10 minutes, they gathered dry clothes, a sleeping bag, and first aid gear, and made their way back to the accident site. Jaeger lay exactly as he had been left. Blood trickled from his nose, a stark contrast to the lifeless pallor of his face. Boston crouched beside him, reaching for a pulse. Nothing. The frigid air of the cave seemed to press in around them as they moved him carefully out of the water, placing his body onto a ledge and wrapping him in a sleeping bag. CPR was attempted, but the effort was futile. His lungs emitted a gurgling sound with each breath forced into him. After 20 minutes, his eyes and neck began to swell. A flashlight beam swept across his pupils. No reaction. He was gone. For hours they sat in the dim glow of their headlamps, absorbing the weight of their loss. The cave, once a site of adventure and discovery, had transformed into something merciless. In the days that followed, the team made the difficult decision to lay Jaeger to rest within the cave itself, interring him in a chamber just above the drop where he had fallen. His father, along with a few close friends, flew down to Mexico and entered the cave to assist in the burial. But grief is rarely a simple thing. Months later, his family had second thoughts. A team of cavers was assembled, and nearly a year after the accident, they succeeded in retrieving his body from the depths of Cueva Cheve. An investigation into the accident yielded troubling insights. When Haberland later ascended the rope, he discovered Jaeger's rappel rack still attached to the lower rope, about 2 meters beneath the Rebelle anchor. The locking carabiner securing it to his harness was open. Haberland demonstrated a chilling possibility. With no weight on the rack, it was possible for it to rotate in such a way that the stem of the rack forced the carabiner's gate open. The moment Jaeger put weight on it, it would have slipped free. The fall would have been instant, silent. He wouldn't have even had time to cry out. The incident raised pressing concerns about safety procedures in deep vertical caving. It was recommended that rappel devices be secured with a quick link or dual opposed locking carabiners to prevent unintended detachment. The importance of keeping packs tethered below the body, rather than worn on the back while rappelling, was emphasized to ensure maximum maneuverability. The Rebelle itself was scrutinized. It had been poorly rigged, requiring an unnecessarily complex maneuver that had already delayed Haberland's own descent. Tragedy is rarely the result of a single failure. Instead, it emerges from a chain of seemingly minor oversights, each one compounding upon the last. A poorly rigged Rebelle, a moment of distraction, a carabiner left unlocked. In the depths of Cueva Cheve, those small miscalculations culminated in irreversible loss. And yet, despite the risks, people continue to return, drawn to the unknown, compelled by the thrill of discovery. Cueva Cheve remains a place of awe and peril, where the margins for error are razor thin, and where the price of a single mistake can be measured.
Okay. Okay. So, um, if my I'm gonna go back some because I was on the impression that
Haberland
I was on
descended
the
first.
I was on the impression that the first guy went down. After he got down, the second guy went down and he hit a rock, and that rock felt off and possibly hit the other guy, which knocked him out. That's what I was thinking. I wasn't I wasn't thinking that maybe the carabiner or whatever he had got loosened halfway and he fell down and that's what caused the death. I'm thinking like a rock, like his friend was going down and he hit a rock and a rock came down. Dude was looking up, didn't notice and hit him and he just he just fell. That's what I'm thinking, but I'm gonna go back just to make sure.
Maneuvering carefully through the
Okay,
awkward
yeah, he's
rigging.
going
The
down.
Rebelay anchor was positioned too far below the natural stance, forcing him to attach a foot ascender to create slack and disconnect himself from the anchor safely. He called up to signal the descent was clear. Minutes later, from below, he heard
So if he called up, let me go back just to make sure I got that clear. I don't want to say anything that's wrong or I'm like not hearing it like correctly. But it sounded like he went down and called up to the dude up there. I think his name was Peter, or the Peter was down bottom. I gotta see real quick. But he called up saying it was clear, and then the other guy came down, hit a rock, and that rock probably hit him in the head and knocked him out, or just like killed them pretty much. But I'm gonna go back just to make sure because that's what I'm thinking, but I don't know.
needed use. Haberland descended first,
Okay.
maneuvering carefully through the awkward rigging. The Rebelay anchor was positioned too far below the natural stance, forcing him to attach a foot ascender to create slack and disconnect himself from the anchor safely. He called up to signal the descent was clear. Minutes later, from below, he heard Jaeger call out. A rock came loose, clattering downward. Haberland braced himself, waiting for the expected off-rope signal. Instead, the cave erupted with the unmistakable sound of rushing air, followed by a sickening heavy thud. Descent was clear. Minutes later, from below, he heard Jaeger call out. A rock came loose, clattering downward. Haberland braced himself, waiting for the expected off-rope signal. Instead, the cave erupted with the unmistakable sound of rushing air, followed by a sickening heavy thud. Silence followed. He called out. No response. A sense of dread set in.
So Peter is the one going down, and the other guy Jaeger. I think that's his name is. Let me see if they say his name again. No, they keep saying Peter. Peter. Here go the two divers. Okay. No, there's two different people. I'm gonna go back just to get make sure I got his name correct.
He heard Jaeger call out.
Jaeger. So the dude down the bottom is Jaeger. He called out saying that it's clear. The dude Peter came down, hit a rock. I'm guessing from what I'm hearing, that rock hit a thud. He's waiting for a signal or something like that down below. He didn't hear anything. He came down and then saw him face like gone, like basically dead. So my understanding,
A rock came loose, clattering downward.
yeah.
Haberland braced himself, waiting for the expected off-rope signal. Instead, the cave erupted with the unmistakable sound of rushing air, followed by a sickening heavy thud. Silence
So
followed.
he got down. He was waiting for that off rope signal that we do, especially when I'm in when I used to do airsoft. We used to get off the helicopter. You make sure you come up, like you walk forward, and you have someone back there, and you make sure the rope is off of you. That other person will signal up to the helicopter, letting you know that that person is off the rope, and then the next person come down. Pretty much, um, and especially when I do rappelling. When I went to master repelling school, even when you do that, you make sure you let the person above you know and the person below you, like, because the person below you is holding you. He's making sure that you're good. He's looking up at you. And once you get off, the person below is looking down, making sure you're off. But also, they both give you a signal to the person up top that no one's on the rope. So I'm guessing that's what he was trying to do. Get a signal from the other dude, trying to see, like, is he off the rope or not? And then he got on it and went down. But my thing is that rock that came down. Was that the thing that killed him? Or did he went down there and lost control and then dud and hit himself? So I'm not sure that's what he was trying to say. It sounded like a loose rock. Like maybe that's what happened. Like he got loose, hit a rock going down or something like that, hit his head, and then he was gone. Or maybe the dude was coming down, hit a rock, and then it hit him. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm making this way too confusing than what it is, but that's what I'm getting off of it. Like, I don't know.
A rock came loose, clattering downward. Haberland descender to create slack and disconnect himself from the anchor safely. He called up to signal the descent was clear. Minutes later, from below, he heard Jaeger call out. A rock came loose, clattering downward. Haberland braced himself, waiting for the expected off-rope signal. Instead, the cave erupted with the unmistakable sound of rushing air, followed by a sickening heavy thud. Silence followed.
You know what? He did. It wasn't a rock. He did. When he was coming down, I'm guessing when he was coming down, he said all clear, probably before he even got down, probably. That's what I'm thinking. He probably said all clear before he even got down to the bottom. And then I guess as he was coming down, that clip that he had came loose. That made it sound like a rock coming loose or something like that with a loud thud. That thud was probably him hitting the ground, probably. Um, Maybe that's what it is. I mean, that's what the experts say when they came and got him. Let me go back to it. Um,
Away that the stem of the rack forced the carabiner's gate open. The moment Jaeger put weight on it, it would have slipped free. The fall would have been instant, silent. He wouldn't have even had time to cry out. The incident raised pressing concerns about safety procedures in deep vertical caving. It was recommended that rappel devices be secured with a quick
Man, that's why you gotta plan. You got to plan it out, and you gotta be experienced when you do it. Like people think this cave stuff is for the weak, man. Like I used to do mountain climbing, especially when I was in Fort Carson, when I was down there in Colorado. I did a little bit of mountain climbing. I learned from other people who was actually experts in doing it. Because we actually had a tour guide dude that does it a lot. And then I was learning from him what to do, what not to do. And I was on like something small, wasn't that high up, pretty much. And I started going to like an actual mountain, going down some. And I think it's like the mountain wasn't really that big either. Like it was like a little, like a big ass hill. I guess you can call it. I wouldn't even call it a mountain. Um, and we was practicing on the backside of the backside of it going down pretty much after we went up there. Um, and he was pretty much like precise on like do this, do that. Hey, check this. Did you check that? Hey, make sure this is still tight. Is this a little loose? You got a little slack in this? Is the harness around you pretty tight? Like he was going like as we was going up, he kept safety precautions all the time. This one is like, man, that like all this could have been prevented, man. Like by just not being there in the first place. Let's just get that out of the way. Second, being experienced in what you're doing, practicing before you go down there just to do it. Like at least practice what you're gonna do. Like don't just do it. Just be like, ah, it's easy. I did it a million times. I could do it again. Like it's not a thing. Um, yeah, it's just a lot of things could have been prevented. But the most importantly thing, don't even do it. Like I mean, everybody's gonna do what they want to do. People like driving cars fast because that's their thing. People like going cave diving because that's their thing. People like doing that Randonautica thingy on your app and go to experience like weird stuff. And even though they can be in danger of getting hurt, they still want to do it. Like it's just people gonna do what they're gonna do. But I mean, rest in peace, man. That is a terrible thing. I'm still a little confused. I think his clip came apart and he fell and died. That's what the expert's saying. But from what his friend said, he told him clear or something like that from below. So it was like, was he saying that as he was falling? Like I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting too deep into it. It's not that serious. But please, hey, leave a like and subscribe down below. Leave a comment down below as well. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one, man. Peace.